What's going on, guys? It's LadyB. We're talking about something that we don't actually get to see properly executed very often. We're talking about healer swap hybrid. If you missed my last video, you missed out on watching one of the most epic wars to come in quite some time, and that was the return of some of the OG Dark Looters working together in the Dark Looters clan for the HCWL, the High Class War League, which is mainly an all-German league. But the one thing that really struck me as incredible to watch was these healer swap hybrids coming out of Bayern. I don't think I have seen a healer swap hybrid that has been quite as effective and well planned as we saw in this. If you're wondering what a healer swap is, we're talking about doing a queen walk or queen charge and then allowing those healers from that queen walk or queen charge to be lended to the rest of your raid. So this obviously works with a queen, with a QCQW ground attack. So when you're doing the hybrid, it's allowing the queen to cross over that pathing, lend those healers over as she continues around the rest of the base. And this is exactly what we saw here. Whereas many times when we talk about healer swaps, it happens because its queen dies out, but these were perfectly planned, perfectly timed. So you want to see what I'm talking about? Let's break it down and get into the two attacks from Bayern. So I might be picking on Wassman a little bit today because the two bases that we happen to see this beautiful execution were on both of Wassman's bases throughout those 3 rounds. But we kick it off here, coming in with the Yeti blimp to pick up that value for the queen wall, queen charge portion. When you're doing these Yeti blimps, essentially you're cutting out a path here. You're narrowing out, voiding out a section of the base to allow the queen a little bit better access. So it's essentially creating a funnel for you. And a lot of times it can even eliminate any potential threats to the queen charge, such as taking out a single IT where the queen wouldn't necessarily be able to reach it unless she had to wall break through. So he moves along with the queen charge here. You can see he's kind of heading his way right down towards that bottom side of the base, the 6 o'clock side here, working towards a town hall. So queen set on this path, we see only one wall breaker that's going to allow her access, potentially. It doesn't mean that he's going to use it. A lot of times we'll see super wall breakers and people want to hold them as long as possible, but we do see that single wall break there. So poisoning up the CC, he moves this queen along. He's going very patient, but at the bottom side of the base, 6 o'clock side here, we can see the king starting up that pathing for the hybrid. So we know essentially the hybrid's going to be coming in from that town hall side, exactly where the queen's working, which creates this beauty here of the healer swap. Now he manages to keep this queen surviving, has to force her ability to keep her alive, and again, rages her up to ensure. And forcing that ability allows the impact of that single IT that was initially on her to just alleviate and go back towards the hybrid who's underway. So the queen here, as you can see, we're paused, crosses over this path. She walks directly through the hybrid. So we're talking about good timing to get that queen coming through, good timing on dropping the hybrid to enable this to happen. So as she crosses through, you can see the Hogs, the miners, all working together, cutting across. And as the queen sweeps around the back, the healers lend themselves to that remaining portion of this raid. And this essentially allows the queen to walk directly behind along the outside of the base here with the king, who's doing a little tanking along this way, but then the queen has a little bit more that she can allow for this surviving through. So really great showing here of using a proper healer swap hybrid, and you can see the value it adds. Queen helping with the cleanup here, especially because he's using that Yeti blimp in the beginning, and you don't have that cleanup where the queen is now cleaning up along that side. If you were to bring a siege barracks, you would have all that cleanup available to you, but because he brings in a blimp to help the pathing for the queen charge portion, you don't quite have that. So healer swaps in these cases are really essential. And you see the hybrid still in the core of the base doing some solid work alongside of the RC. This Royal Champ definitely doing him some favors and helping out as it's slightly thinned out, but he did get a great split, taking down that last remaining scatter shot over near the 2 o'clock side of the base. And with all that focus that had been pulled away from the queen with the hybrid inside there, the queen actually has the access to continue to work around and stay alive the entire raid helping with the cleanup. And you can see that wall breaker drops, I think, essentially used if he needed to break into that chamber. And that's another thing that we don't often actually get to see, is proper use of those wall breakers coming through. And you can save them for the back end. We'll do another video on that. I'll collect a few different replays because we do now see them a little bit more often, but taking down key defenses such as scatter shots and single ITs that the queen can't necessarily get to when they're pushed back further behind the wall. So let's take a look into the next raid and talk a little bit more about the healer swap. So again, we have poor Wasman Space taking a nasty beating from these healer swaps, but it really is an incredible showing. And again, we have the Yeti blimp that comes in, Baby Dragon to help with the pathing and funneling. When you're doing these Yeti blimps, the one thing I definitely need to caution you, if you're new to using these, is you do need to bring in a Coco loon, essentially a loon that is sent in order to pick up potential traps along the way, and it'll drop like a coconut. This has become a very big question that a lot of people don't realize why we call it a Coco loon, and that's essentially why, because it's dropping down like a coconut out of a tree when it does come into contact with a black bomb, and that's its sole purpose, is to do that tanking there. So he gets this nice initial pathing here with that Yeti blimp making it into that single IT chamber. And again, in the first attack where we were talking about that, this allows better pathing for the queen because it eliminates that threat, but equally, again, it sections off that value and voids out that portion of the base, so the queen doesn't double back and go out of alignment for the course here. So the Baby Dragon picked up some nice value. He decides to bring in an E-Drag as well for some great value as well. And the reason why you would use an E-Drag for a funnel here is because when you have a lot of stuff along the outside edge and you're going to pick up some good chain value like this, he's just a little bit tankier, and you can see what that chain does. It even activates the Town Hall, gets it going, though the queen would have initially gotten that anyway. So just something to think about with bringing in an E-Drag essentially as your funneling option here. So the queen gets that wall break in, created a nice path, so she directly heads in towards that Town Hall section, and you kind of know at this point that the Warden ability is going to be saved coming through that Scatter Shot and Eagle, because the threat of the Town Hall is taken down. He doesn't need to use that Warden ability here. So that means, looking at this base, we know the direct initial target is going to be coming in from that 11 o'clock side here, heading straight on into the Scattershot Eagle chamber in the core of the base here. And essentially, because of the funnel that's been created down on that 730 side of the base, where we can still see the air sweeper or the air defense remaining, you're going to have that queen not have the option to necessarily backtrack that way, but she's going to move up towards the 12 o'clock side of the base and come in line with the hybrid, which means we're going to see some beautiful stuff with more healer swap. And again, it's all about timing. He's dropping the king up at the 12 o'clock side of the base to create more funnel for the hybrid here. A lot of times you'll use your king as a bookend to do the tanking here, but in this case as well, you wind up having the queen with a little additional tank to work for her, especially because we don't have a siege barracks that's coming through to do that cleanup on the outside edge. So beautiful pathing and crossover. You can see that nice exchange of the healers as the queen walks just past the hog and miner path and continues to work her way through. And at this point, she still actually has her ability here. We can see down at the bottom bar, she's still working through. King's doing some great work tanking, but this queen is actually helping to keep everything path through into the center of the base so that they don't stray out. That's one of the worst things that can happen to your hybrid, is having your miners or even hogs if there's some defenses along the outside, but your miners are easily pulled because of all the structures out there. So it's nice having those components that can keep everything pushed inside the base, and essentially a healer swap allows for this in a great way and extends that health of the hybrid working through, because when you're doing these Town Hall 13 hybrids, you're only bringing 2 heals typically, because you're going to have a lot of rages working through for your queen charge portion and even sometimes your Yeti blimp. So as the queen rounds the corner here from the 3 o'clock side, you can see the hybrid still going strong. That RC has been doing some great work, again, with hybrids You definitely bring your RC pushing through the core of the base, doing that additional tanking and work. Well, not tanking, but picking off heroes and defenses right behind. And she does well when she is placed behind them to allow them to tank for her. But this queen continuing her path down and has still held on to her ability. It is not even needed. Carpenter absolutely smashing through this base and doing phenomenal work. So I hope this really helps explain a little bit more about healer swap hybrids and how they're best used, and also how little we actually get to see it and how incredible of a feat it is to properly time that. So if you guys wind up trying this out, you can do this at any town hall that you're able to do hybrid. It's just a matter of timing things properly. I want to see your videos. If you get this done properly, tag me on Twitter. Let me see your successful raids, because I would love to showcase more of your guys' work. So if you want to see more action coming from these amazing wars, if you want to catch them live, don't forget to head over to my Twitch channel, follow me there, and turn on your notifications so you can watch all the live wars as they happen. And if you want to continue to see these great videos and some of these amazing attacks that come out of these wars, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a partnership with Blueprint Base Building. So if you want to head over to my Discord server, link is in the description below. You can come over and we're giving away a free weekly base courtesy of Blueprint. So that's about it for now. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to put a thumbs up there. And I'll catch you guys in just another day or so. Have a good one. See you later.